Much. Let's bring in House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Sir, there was never a lot of bipartisan support for this deal, at least on Capitol Hill. President Obama declined to put it forward for a vote because they said they wouldn't have had the vote, so they took action unilaterally. And now the President of the United States, the current President, Donald Trump, is going to apparently reverse that decision. Your thoughts today?
Well, my thought is, remember, this is not a treaty. And this is part of the problem with the agreement. Even if you look back on those who we respect and have seen this, you go to Condi Rice, former Secretary of State. She said she never would have signed this agreement. She also said if the president does pull out, it's not the end of the world. Because I think from what you're hearing, if the president does end up pulling out, you have a number of days here for Iran to come back and actually negotiate a better deal. If the whole concept of this agreement was to keep Iran from having a nuclear weapon, the agreement does not stop that. At the end of it, they would be allowed to have it. They continue to test their ballistic missiles. They take the billions of dollars that were provided to them to fund terrorism around the world. I think it's only appropriate that the world together comes involved and gets a better agreement or make sure Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. And this is something the president campaigned on, remember. And if it did come to the floor, the only bipartisan vote that would have taken place was it would have voted this down. That's why it was never a treaty, which was, it never should have been moved forward as an agreement, because it was always in jeopardy with the next administration.
Is the White House asking the Congress to try to pass anything now after this step that the president takes today?
No, they haven't asked us anything yet. I've been briefed on a few things the president will do today, but our own foreign affairs have had hearings on this as well. And remember, here we are with North Korea now sitting down with South Korea, something the past administration wasn't able to do as well. I think President Trump understands foreign policy, able to get people together that haven't been in the past. And if our main goal here is not to have Iran to have a nuclear weapon, I would trust this president to actually get it done. And I think you would have to look at this agreement differently if that's your goal to set out to make happen.
I see your point of view on that. How do you respond to critics who say that the president, by withdrawing from this deal that the previous president made, that it makes talks with North Korea harder because it looks like the president of the United States isn't able to confirm that the United States will keep its word in the future?
No, the United States keeps its word to any treaty we go forward with. And remember, this is not an agreement that was agreed to by President Trump. What I would look at is quite the opposite. If the president says he's going to do something, he would follow through with it, just as he would move the embassy to Jerusalem, just as other presidents promised they would, but they would not do that. So I think because the president does keep his word, that's the reason why Kim Jong-un is talking to South Korea as well. And the one thing I would look at, you would want to create a treaty with America, because that's what we keep. Agreements was always the argument against this. And what's more importantly, if America, when it was President Obama, said he wanted to stop Iran from a nuclear weapon, but would agree to a treaty, or an agreement, not a treaty, that would allow it to happen, I think America loses credibility in the long run with that.
What would you say to your constituents and people across America who are maybe not steeped in the details on the Iran deal, but they are concerned about rising gas prices and what this might do to the summer's gas prices going forward?
Well, what I tell my voters in California, the reason the gas prices are rising in California, because the Democrats raised the tax on it. And we have an initiative on the ballot to actually repeal those 12 cents. So we won't be paying in California $1 higher than those in other states as well. And America is becoming energy independent. So, no, we're moving in the right direction. And the one thing I would say, any American, why would they want to give Iran money for their oil if they're going to fund terrorism throughout the world that we watch time and time again? I know as an American, I would never want that.
You know, we're waiting for the president. He's going to step to the lectern any moment now. Then diplomatic reception room. We'll take that to you live. Just one non-international question for you going forward. Tomorrow there's several primaries that are, or today, I'm sorry, several primaries that are happening all across America. Republicans, I'm just curious where you think you are in the midterms, because a lot of conventional wisdom would say that the Republicans are definitely going to lose the House in this midterm election year. It's not unusual for a sitting president, for his party to lose seats in a midterm. Looking ahead at some of your candidates going forward and their positioning, how are you feeling about their chances today?
I actually feel very good because you know why? Unemployment is at 3.9%. It hasn't been this low in 18 years. 48 out of 50 states just had their energy bills lowered because our tax bill. Millions of people just got a bonus. We have actually, on human trafficking, shut down Backpage and others. The opioid crisis, we're moving 60 bills to do something with that. If you ask the American people how they feel, is America going in a good place? This is CNN. 57% say yes to that. The last time that happened, that was back in the early 2000s. So you know what? I think if the election today, it's no doubt we'd keep the majority. And the thing that actually promises that more is because Nancy Pelosi, even today, said if they win the majority, she would become speaker and she would raise your taxes.
Right, she would roll back what President Trump put forward. So, and we're going to talk about that later in the show. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Dana.